Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Morning, everybody. Bache, I'm Dr. Sushant Soni, and this is a special session in which we'll be discussing the NEET PG 2021. They launched an information bulletin. Thankfully, 2 महीने पहले तो बता दिया. At least they told us 2 months ago. They could have just given this 1 week ago also. I mean, I know we guys are slightly pissed off about the fact, especially as students, that when they told about postponement of the exam, why did they not tell about the pattern change of the paper also? But this is a session which will cater to the type of questions that you will be expecting, firstly. Secondly, how to modulate your thought process for the same. And thirdly, most importantly, you know stuff. We have done integrated questions throughout the year on the basis of this, and how to approach such questions. These are the 2 3 main things that we will be discussing in this session. So, firstly, I guess everybody is comfortable with the fact that the bulletin information has been, it is out. The online submission, the last date is of course 15th March, but do not wait for the last date. Fill your exam center of choice so that you get the center closest to your home. Next, this again is an important part of the bulletin. The final edit window to rectify the deficient or the incorrect images has also been provided. Next, the examination date is of course 18th April. So we are about 2 months away from the paper. Now, the timings of the examination, very very important. Exam starts at 2 p.m. and it will be till 5:30. So I'm laying stress on this because for the next 2 months, whatever you do, whichever study cycle you follow, whether you get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, 8 a.m. in the morning, or by 9:30, पहली चीज, you have to be up by 9:30 a.m. There is absolutely no doubt about it. I do not want to hear ki sir we study late at night. I slept at 5 a.m. so I'll be getting around 12:30 1 in the afternoon or something like that. नहीं बच्चे, you have to modulate your sleep cycle according to the examination now, firstly. Secondly, whatever you do, you have to study from 2 to 5:30 p.m. without taking a break for the next 2 months. I'm laying stress on this because your mind needs to be trained in this manner that it has to be active, or let me rephrase, the most active between the timings of 2 to 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon. You have to do that. Next, do not take any break in between, because these 3.5 hours of the examination, your mind should be trained to work without needing any break. Next, again an important point. Please do not fill your application form in a haste. I know, सुन के बहुत अजीब लगता है कि while filling the application, other people make mistakes, I won't do it. This is the general thought process of the student. But बच्चे, so many students after submitting the form, either they fill the category wrong or there is a spelling error, and then it is a torture. एक तो वैसे ही पेपर देना है, we have to attempt the paper, that is a torture. Adding to the fact that we have done some mistake while filling the same or filling the categories or whatsoever, those are blunders. So when you are filling your application form, put your phone on silent mode, sit in a cool calm environment, be calm, and if possible fill it during the morning. I mean, I am a morning person per se. My morning though starts around 10 a.m. or something, but I am a morning person and I have a good feel कि यार सुबह अच्छी चीजें होंगी. So if possible fill it in the morning. Next, coming to the main point, it will be 200 multiple choice questions, single correct response in 3.5 hours. There's absolutely no printing mistake in this. When this first came out yesterday, I got so many messages ki sir, is it a printing mistake ki they had to write it as 300 and they ended up writing it as 200? Is this a printing mistake or whatsoever? There is absolutely no printing mistake. The questions will be the integrated questions. For those students who have already studied with us throughout the year, bache, we have done integrated questions. We have tried our level best to integrated sessions to modulate your thought process with respect to the same. Let's have a look at few of those. Now, Let's have a look at this question. A young female, 45 years though not very young, a middle-aged female was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome, complaints of pruritus that is slowly progressive over the last year. Pruritus is especially prominent over palms and soles, fair enough, and is unbearable at night. Now, lab testing shows this. Bilirubin is okay, direct pill is okay, ALP is slightly elevated, AST and ALT are okay, SGOT, SGPT are normal. Now, with this clinical question, examiner can ask you three types of questions. He can either give you the most straightforward question on this, that what is the diagnosis in this case, and he might give you options like hepatitis B, hemochromatosis, alcoholic hepatitis, or PBC. This is the most straightforward point in the question: give us the diagnosis. Or to make it slightly tougher, the question can be framed in the manner that which of the following microscopic findings will be associated with this patient. When we talk of microscopic findings, he would give you four options either in written format, or he can ask the images associated with the same. This is how the question can be modulated. So let us have a look first at the diagnosis. Let's first have a look at the diagnosis in this question. The diagnosis provided. Now, it is associated with Sjogren's syndrome. That is, it is associated with an autoimmune disorder. That's the first hint in the question. Seen in middle-aged females, associated with pruritus, which has progressed over the last year. That means it is an insidious onset disease. It is insidious in nature clinically. It is slowly progressive. Characterized by the autoimmune diseases, so most probably it will be autoimmune in nature. Third point, it is associated with elevated levels of ALP. That means it is a cholestatic liver disorder. These are the 3 points which are mentioned in the question. Let us now have a look at the options provided. Bache, hepatitis B and hemochromatosis are as such out. Viral hepatitis B will be associated with elevated levels of AST and ALT. So that is out. It is not a cholestatic liver disease. Secondly, whenever the examiner wants to give you a history of hemochromatosis, he will either talk of bronze diabetes. It will be more commonly seen in males. Females have a later onset of the disease because excessive iron overload. So females have a later onset. It is females that are associated as such with iron deficiency anemia. It takes time in females for the features to develop. Next, the examiner can give you a history of a hereditary disorder, not of an autoimmune disorder. So hemochromatosis was out. Next, alcoholic hepatitis. There was no history of chronic alcohol intake. Secondly, the examiner might give you the microscopic finding associated with steatosis. So what was left was PBC, primary biliary cirrhosis. PBC. Everything fits into this. PBC, which it is a chronic liver disease. It is a chronic liver disease associated with autoimmune destruction of intrahepatic biliary tract, extrahepatic, extrahepatic, या both, intrahepatic, characterized by autoimmune destruction of intrahepatic, biliary tract. Next point, clinically in PBC, pruritus is the first symptom. Pruritus is the first symptom. It is slowly progressive in nature, and as the disease progresses, it will be associated also with hepatosplenomegaly and xanthomatous lesions. Hepatosplenomegaly and xanthomas or xanthomatous lesions, which are seen in eyelids, around the eyelids of the skin. This was PBC, primary biliary cirrhosis, and this was what the examiner wanted you to diagnose. Now, diagnosis might or might not be asked. In all probability, the question in the paper will be of the next level. That is the most likely microscopic finding. Examiner did not ask you the diagnosis. He did not give you those 4 options. He asked you the most probable microscopic finding. So in this case, look at the microscopic findings given and correlate them with the diagnosis. Ground glass hepatocytes. They are associated with chronic hepatitis. Most commonly with which chronic hepatitis? Hepatitis B, C, D, which is the most common chronic hepatitis with ground glass hepatocytes, which is chronic HBV. Next, PAS positive, periodic acid shift positive, intracytoplasmic globules in hepatocytes. This is associated with, when this microscopic finding is given, what is the diagnosis the examiner wants to come to you in the patient? It is associated with, please put a double star, alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. Extremely important, extremely important, alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. Next, florid biliary duct reaction. Bache, this is PBC, primary biliary cirrhosis, versus steatosis, which can be, there are numerous causes: protein allergy, malnutrition, alcoholic liver disease, alcoholic liver disease. Next, it can be associated with total parenteral nutrition, jejunal bypass. There are numerous causes, one of the most common of which is alcoholic liver disease. So with these options provided, these are the diagnosis the examiner meant, making the answer as C. Firstly, this can be the question. Or the examiner can even go a step further, and instead of writing the microscopic findings, he can give you the associated images with these. He will give you which of the following microscopic finding will be associated with that case, and he will give you an image of ground glass hepatocytes, alpha 1 antitrypsin, PBC, and alcoholic liver disease. You will be asked to mark the option as C. This is how questions will be framed. They will be lengthier. They will not be factual. You will need to use your clinical acumen, have your presence of mind, and then work accordingly. Throughout the year, bache, we have trained you on such questions. Do not worry about it. Do not lose your cool. There is absolutely no way you are going to lose your cool. Pathology, pharmacology will form the basis of medicine. Anatomy will form the basis of surgery, orthopedics. Do not leave out the ultra short subjects: radio, derma, anesthesia, psychiatry, and stuff. The 5 ultra short subjects, please do them well. These are the few points that I wanted to discuss with you. Next, let us have a look at another question. Now, what the examiner asked you was, a young female came with constant swelling and pain of her elbows for the past week, which prevented her from participating in basketball practice. So, a child with elbow pain. She also had knee pain in the preceding week, which was attributed to fall in practice. So, first knee pain followed by elbow pain. Please note it is migratory in nature. The examiner did not say that knee pain was persistent. Knee pain went off and then elbow pain came. She is as such healthy, had only minor illnesses during the winter season. Now the patient is febrile, BP is okay, pulse is okay. Elbows are swollen and tender with limited range of movement. Knees appear normal. There is a holosystolic murmur on cardiac auscultation. So migratory polyarthritis with murmur. ASO titers is elevated. There is absolutely no doubt about the fact that the diagnosis is RHD. So examiner gave rheumatic heart disease. Examiner gave you that history only to make you reach the diagnosis of RHD. He might not make it so obvious. He can give you 3-4 lines in the history along with this image. I'm pretty sure that everybody will be comfortable with this, that these are the cardiac fibers. These are the cardiac fibers. What you see here is focal distinctive inflammation. All this is inflammation. Focal distinctive inflammation in the heart, making this as an Aschoff body. Making this diagnosis as an Aschoff body seen in, which is the diagnostic hallmark of RHD, rheumatic heart disease. So examiner can give you something like this to make you reach a diagnosis of RHD. Now the question is, acute decompensation during hospitalization would most likely be caused by which of the following complications, with 5 options. Now this is the question, and bache, normally when I discuss this in my routine sessions, because with all chapters in pathology we have done integrated questions of path and medicine, Now, whenever I discuss this question in my routine sessions, students tend to mark the answer as mitral stenosis. Nee bache, you know this very well in RST. Acute RST is associated with mitral regurgitation versus chronic RST, which is associated with mitral stenosis. You also know that chronic RST mitral stenosis, that is why there is fish mouth appearance of the valve leading to because of calcifications and fibrosis of the mitral valve. So the answer was B, that is pancreatitis. You know the questions, you know the stuff, you know everything about it. Just be calm and keep your presence of mind. That is the bottom line while discussing such questions. So don't worry about it, everything will work out fine. Lastly, you very well know that there are 200 questions plus 4 minus 1. So keep it in your mind that how many questions you're going to attempt. Bache, minimum of 170. I mean, do not go below 170 questions under any circumstance, because the minute you start going below 170, majority of the students will be attempting the paper smartly. That is, suppose 10 question nahi aate, you don't know the answer to 10 questions. If you hit flukes in them, fluke is not ki random guess hai, it is the best educated guess. If you hit a fluke in them, and even if out of 10 questions you're right in 3, 10 में से 3 तो ठीक हो ही जाएंगे, the positive will be much more than the negative mark associated with -7. So attempt more number of questions, basic minimum being 170. Only leave the questions जिसमें बिल्कुल ही कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया, that is, you were not able to make out either head or tail of the clinical history, you were not able to reach the diagnosis or something like that. Only leave those questions, not otherwise. And lastly, from bottommost part of my heart, bache, bestest of luck for the paper. Absolutely no doubt about it. In case you have any queries whatsoever, you can simply mail them to me at sushantesoni@gmail.com. Give me 1 or 2 days to reply. That is sort of obvious, but I'll certainly be replying for sure. Absolutely no doubt. And whether you ask any query or not, it's perfectly okay. Do tell me the rank that you get. Take care, and bestest of luck. Do attend the grand test series. 4 grand tests on the latest pattern, March 7 and March 7, 14, March 7, 14, 21 and 28. The 4 grand tests on the new pattern questions in NEET PG. Done. Thank you and take care.